So, some of you might know me as the visual effects guy who got his video stolen by Nerdstalgic a few years ago. Basically, I had like 500 subscribers at the time, and they had millions, and they stole my video on District 9 that had about 400 views, and that I put months into researching and writing and editing, and they just tried to pass it off as their own. And I was very lucky that lots and lots of people came out and supported the channel against them and got their video removed, because otherwise I was very small and there was just nothing I could have done about it. Which brings me to today's video, because I thought that would be the end of stealing from this specific channel, as who would be stupid enough to steal again from the guy who's already had one plagiarism controversy? Well, it turns out this guy was. But today, I'm not actually going to be complaining about how this affects me, but instead, I'm actually just going to be exposing this guy for every single other video that he's stolen from many other creators, so that hopefully we can get YouTube to actually take some form of action on this. Because when I looked at this guy's channel, I realized that if this guy's been brave enough to steal from me, then he's almost undoubtedly also stealing from a lot of other smaller creators who just don't have the audience sizes to speak out for themselves. And so as my little way of paying the world back for helping me out with the whole Nerdstalgic thing, I got my magnifying glass out and did some detective work through each of these videos. And in doing this, I uncovered this mass scale theft that is actually this giant issue that is plaguing YouTube to its core right now, and is something that's going to ruin a lot of smaller channels before they even get the chance to get started. So, to explain this some more, let's start at the beginning. Around 2 months ago, I made this video discussing the visual effects of Iron Man, and as with all of my videos, it was a real passion project that I worked on for months, researching it, writing it, editing it, etc., just to make the most accurate and just best video I possibly could. And so when this lovely fella, DO5, go check out his channel as a thank you, pointed out to me that this video here was an exact copy of mine, but just in Spanish, I was pretty upset. And so for evidence sake, here's my video.
Iron Man has perhaps the most grounded and down-to-earth visual effects that I've ever seen.
And here's his video, which I've translated back to English from his Spanish translation, and then I've dubbed with an AI voice so that English speakers can understand it. It's a bit rough, but it helps you get the idea.
Iron Man probably has the most realistic and down-to-earth visual effects I've ever seen.
And by this, I don't just mean how they consistently made sure that each and every effect was somewhat tied into this film's narrative.
And I don't just mean how they made sure every effect was tied into the story,
but also the absurd lengths that they went to make sure that every digital element of this character could interplay with reality in this logical and meaningful way.
but also the crazy lengths they went to so every digital part of the character could interact with the real world in a logical and meaningful way.
And so yeah, they're obviously the same. I've watched the whole thing and it's just 95% similar. And so he's gotten almost 300,000 views from this, didn't even credit me once, and he even calls for people to subscribe to him during the video, which is just so cheeky. But what upset me wasn't just the fact that this was a simple re-upload, but it was actually the fact that he went through and re-edited my video to remove all traces of me from it. Because plagiarism is actually a really common issue on stuff like TikTok, with people often just taking whole long-form YouTube videos and just re-uploading them there, again without even crediting the original creator. And so that's why I deliberately started putting my face in these videos, because I thought if they're gonna steal my stuff, then at least it's some form of like marketing, right? Because if the audience at least sees me in these TikTok re-uploads, at least it's helping to expose me to a wider audience. And so by deliberately going through and cutting me out of my own video, this guy has also taken away the one good thing I could think of about plagiarism. Anyway, in the end, I was just going to make one community post about this on my channel, just sort of generally complaining, and then I was going to leave it. Because I don't want to be the stolen videos guy who's crying on YouTube every single time it happens. But then this guy made one fatal mistake because he underestimated just how petty and how paranoid I can be. Because the lovely people who saw my community post went and commented on his video and said, hey, you stole this from CGY. And because I'm a pretty paranoid guy, I thought he might delete those comments, so I sat there and screenshotted them all and watched him delete them in real time. And so not only did this show me that he's not going to listen to any request I sent him to take this down, but moreover, this just got me really curious as to who this type of person is. And so I went and took a much deeper look at his channel and suddenly realized that almost every single video here must have been stolen from another creator. And so remembering how I felt when my video got stolen for the first time and how it almost made me quit YouTube, because what's the point in trying if it's just going to be taken straight away by someone else who doesn't even fully understand what you're trying to say, I decided to go through this guy's videos one by one, translating them all individually into English and cross-comparing them against hundreds of other videos just to figure out each and every YouTuber he stole them from, so that we can all take action against stuff like this together. Because whilst this guy is obviously in the wrong for taking these videos, the core problem here is actually something that exists much deeper within YouTube. But yeah, we'll get to that in a second. But before we get to my accusations, I do want to preface two things. Firstly, obviously, just don't send this guy any hate. It's just not the right thing to do. And secondly, of course, all of his videos are in Spanish, and I don't speak Spanish, and so I've had to rely on translations and stuff like that. And so I guess what I'm asking for here is a bit of the benefit of the doubt from you guys, because I could occasionally be wrong about how close his videos are to the original English versions due to the language barrier. But I have tried to be very sure that all of the videos I'm about to talk about are very, very close copies. But anyway, let's start with his video here titled 24 Mistakes That Made Iron Man Stronger, which he uploaded 3 weeks ago and is remarkably similar in terms of everything from the content itself to the order it's presented in to even the reasoning as to why Iron Man's technology evolves each time, as this video here titled 21 Mistakes That Made Iron Man Stronger, which was uploaded 9 months ago by Kiddo Tushar. Except our cheeky re-uploader here tweaked the script ever so slightly, probably by just asking ChatGPT to shake it up a little, which is actually a very, very big issue and what we'll be addressing in just a minute. And then he dubbed it in Spanish and again changed up the editing so that YouTube's auto-comparison features just can't find it. And so here's the original in English.
Starting from the beginning, when Tony was captured in Afghanistan, he found himself helpless without a way to return home. To prevent this from happening again to himself or his loved one.
And here's the Spanish copy redubbed in English with AI.
At the start of this story, when Tony was captured by the 10 rings in Afghanistan, he was left defenseless and could be tracked. To make sure that never happened again to him or anyone he cared about,
he fixed this mistake. We first saw this in Spider-Man Homecoming, where Peter Parker discovered that Tony had added a GPS tracker to.
He fixed this mistake, something we first saw in Spider-Man Homecoming, when Peter found out Tony had added a tracker to his suit.
And so to me, that's just a blatant copy. But now, you might be thinking, well, actually, the Spanish guy's video said 24 times, and the original guy's video only said 21 times. So at least the Spanish guy came up with 3 ideas on his own. But it turns out that no. In the original video, the author actually added 3 bonus evolutions at the end of his video, meaning that in total he had the same amount of 24. And then you might be thinking, well, yeah, but anyone can make a video about all the different times Iron Man learned from his mistakes. It's a really common saying these days about these films, which is fair enough, but you must admit it's mighty convenient they both cover the exact same points in almost the exact same order with almost the exact same reasoning each time. And because I think I've proven my point here, you know, at least a good chunk of these are going to be stolen, I'm just going to show all the videos that I've been able to 100% prove on screen that are copies. And again, I've contacted all of these creators like the Marvellous Wave, Browntable, Everything Always, etc. However, I can also absolutely guarantee that there are more than this. But the issue that I keep running into is with the smaller channels and the language barrier. Because luckily, the only videos I found here are from the bigger channels, who can hopefully take a hit like this. But there are almost certainly videos from smaller channels on here that I've just not been able to track down due to them being Spanish and all the troubles you have from going from English to Spanish and trying to back search the videos and all this stuff. It just gets complicated. And so I would like to ask any Spanish speakers watching this video to take a look as well and help me out. Because yeah, like I said, the thought that people can just take my videos with no consequences nearly made me just give up. Because if people can get away with stealing one, then what stops them from stealing the next one and the next one and the next one? And you might as well just give up. And so yeah, that's why I've got to sit here and make videos like this, because it's literally the only effective shield against this with the current systems that YouTube has in place. Which does bring me to the bigger picture here, that apparently this is a massive issue that's been happening on YouTube for years. As Dio5 told me that he sees this stuff all the time, where content has just been copied from the English-speaking world and just pasted into the Spanish-speaking world, with very few English creators ever noticing the crossover because they're just not bilingual. And then he went on to tell me that because of stuff like AI, it's even gotten a lot worse in recent years. And so he's actually building his own video on this, which will be much more informed than mine, because, you know, he can actually speak Spanish. So please go subscribe to him if you want to learn more about that when his video drops. The link should be in the description somewhere. But yeah, this AI rejiggling of videos also presents another side of this issue, which is that, like I said, all of the current plagiarism tools are designed for finding more direct comparisons between your video and theirs. But if you can just tell an AI to change it by 10% and then suddenly it's completely undetectable as a copy, then YouTube's got this massive problem, because now a lot of the up and coming creators these days who are going to go on to form the backbone of the platform in years to come are just going to give up if their work gets immediately gobbled up and repackaged by an AI. And then beyond this, it's this 10% change that also brings me to my final issue, which is YouTube's transformative content policy. Because I have gone and manually filled out a copyright claim against this guy's video, which I think just hit some useless Google AI that didn't really understand what I was asking, which is great. But moreover, whilst my video was basically 100% ripped off, on these other videos where he's changed like 10% of the content, you could now make the argument that it technically falls under YouTube's transformative content policy, where he's made enough changes to the original work that he's actually allowed to keep doing this, even though in spirit the two are literally identical. Because if React streamers can do an entire video and then just add, yeah man, that's crazy, or you know what, he's right, every 5 minutes, and that counts as different enough for them to monetize basically someone else's video on their channel, then what stops people like this guy from stealing 95% of someone's work and then just changing it a tiny bit with AI? And so what I'm trying to say here is that this issue will transcend the language barrier, and it will start to occur, and probably already has occurred, that AI English videos will just copy and probably crush human-made videos. And so basically YouTube needs to implement some kind of system that can do both cross-language comparison and also detect like AI plagiarism. I swear universities have some system for this, but I don't know. And also with this, they should probably look at their content policies and decide what is transformative or not. Because yeah, like I say, it's in their own interest to solve these issues. And finally, before I go, regarding this guy, what's crazy is that I think he actually could just be a good YouTuber if he tried. Like, he knows how to edit well, he's actually speaking in a way that seems to engage people, and he's actually really good at doing thumbnails. Like, people are clicking on his videos, so if he actually just tried to make his own content, it would probably be great. But yeah, anyway, thank you for watching, and if I'm wrong about anything I said regarding the Spanish, I'm genuinely very sorry and I take it back. But yeah, like I said, I am very luckily in the position where I can deal with stuff like this. But if you do want to support the work we do here, then I would like to humbly ask you to check out our film podcast. We've only just started, so it is a little bit rough around the edges, but basically we just got sick of these podcasts that are supposed to be fun, but comedians stop them every 5 minutes to tell you just how rubbish the world is now. Oh man, it's so crazy out there. Like, I know it, you know, I'm trying to get my 5 minutes of escapism from the real world. I don't need some literal millionaire reminding me of it every 5 minutes. And so yeah, anyway, we try to make a podcast where we just have fun talking about the films we like. Please check it out and let us know your thoughts, because whilst we're still small, we can implement all of your feedback and like do all the films you want and stuff like that. There's a YouTube, Spotify and Apple Music link in the description for the CG Wired podcast. And I guess whilst you're here, I might as well also shill my Patreon, where we make exclusive visual effects videos. It's only $1 and literally every single penny goes back into the channel, so please feel free to check that out as well. Thank you for watching. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below and have a great day.